Okay, Sinadapi. Welcome to Native Wellness Institute's Power Hour. We call it Wellness Wednesday. Nistu Nidanico Makoyo Sakoi. Nistu Skapi Pikani. Nistu Sixakea Tipi from the Blackfoot Confederacy. Coming to you live. Wow. So every Native Wellness Institute, we just wanted to start off with a couple of stories because it's an amazing process. Our process, if you're from Canada, it's an amazing process. It was in 2011 in March, Native Wellness Institute, David Lynch came to meet with our board and our executive director, Jolene Joseph. And they asked to give us the training in transcendental meditation. So I wanted to, our topic today is just to look at healing. Healing is the answer to trauma. Healing is the answer to any of the chaos. Healing is the answer to any of the anxiety. Healing is the answer to any kind of disruption in your community, on your reservation, in your village, and your rancheria, in your urban location. So I wanted to just start to share that story with you because I just finished my 20-minute, we call it TM, transcendental meditation. And I wanted to just share that story with you because in 2023, coming 3 years off our pandemic and the places that we are in healing from all of that transformation. Raise your hand if you transformed, if you're a different person than what you used to be 3 years ago. It's an amazing process. So David Lynch, he came to our board of directors with the Native Wellness Institute, and he was offering us the training in TM, in meditation, mindfulness. There's many terms for it. And he wanted to offer it and to see what we thought as we went through learning. And I guess, it's pretty pricey. It was 3 days of teaching us to begin to clear our minds with a mantra. And we were all given a mantra, and it's like a secret. It's like nobody knows but me and Ishtabatapi. God, me and God know this mantra. And it's like your connection. Once you start to go into this, they recommend it for 20 minutes. But the way that transcendental meditation, and it's just to share with you, because how do you ground yourself? How do you bring yourself back to center? How do you get serenity? How do you, no matter what's going on, especially if something abruptly messes with your serenity, how do you get grounded again? And so I just wanted to start with that. So with the TM, it was kind of interesting because our group, we're all male, female, and we all have different learning styles. So the 3 days that David Lynch's group, he sent two master trainers of transcendental meditation. And so he started with trying to get us to do it for 3 minutes. Then he started 5 minutes. And then it was like, a 10-minute. And then you have to learn over time to just do this. And they were recommending it twice a day, 20 minutes, to go into where you begin to pay attention to your breathing in through your nose, holding it for a second and breathing out. Pay attention to your breathing. Hold it. And it was counts of 4 in, hold for 4, 4 out. And then begin to the chatter in our minds. And you guys, how many raise your hand if you're just crazy ass thinker up there? I And so to start to clear your mind, clear your mind about the schedule, emails, all your exes from Texas or Gallup. Anyway, you start to clear your mind and saying the mantra that's given to you. And as you get into that, it's almost like a sedated state. And I'm just coming, 10 minutes before I got on, I was coming out of mine. So I feel, I can grasp it almost. And you start to clear all your thoughts and you clear your mind. And sometimes it almost feels like a different dimension of consciousness. It feels like you're floating. And if you have, when the training, I've been doing it since 2011. I think Thosh is still doing it. I think Jolene is still doing it. There's several of our members who still do a form and do TM, because like at first we used to, when we'd go out and do training, like when you train all day, and we would actually all do TM together. And when you do have a collective, there's a different energy where you all go into that state for 20 minutes and it re-grounds you. But when you have like several of you in the room, it's really, really interesting. And so the only way I can compare it is, when you see all the Buddhist monks sitting there for hours in silence, it's like there's like an energy. But what it does is it bonds you. It spiritually bonds you. And I think that's why Native Wellness Institute, we grow as a board, as a team, and we're bringing in new members, younger members. We're kind of, there's a fluctuation, a flux. And that's what happens when you're doing the transcendental meditation. And when you come out of it, so I needed to do this, and I need to do it like daily. Yesterday, we're Native Wellness Institute is doing how to be an ally in Indian country right now. We're on day 2. So our team is doing that right as we speak. I think Josh and Shailene and Tomas and Jolene and Jean was helping. And of course, Lavina. And we were all together. All together doing Zoom training, because Native Wellness Institute, we're doing Zoom and we're doing in person. But I wanted to tell you about this because I wasn't quite sure today I could come on. I had a phenomenal process of my own rite of passage. And with the collective, that same kind of synergy with the transcendental meditation, I had a collective process with my young relatives on the Blackfeet Reservation. And that's Chaz Racine, who oversees our Buffalo program. He works under Irvin Carlson and under the Blackfeet Tribal Business Council. The other person is Nathan Sankador. He has a restaurant. You guys can come and eat in the summer at Johnson's, but he's also a close relative. And then my longtime relative, Lauren Monroe Jr., I've known him since his grandparent, Muffet, Edward and Muffet Little Dog. I can remember him coming to the Sweat, so I always take him as a nephew. And then Christine Flaman and her daughter and her nephew, they came and helped today because we harvested a buffalo beginning this morning. It took them. As an elder, I wanted to share some of that story. But before I begin that, I wanted to share just today's storytelling about getting grounded and some storytelling about Eni, the buffalo. So raise your hand if you like to eat buffalo, because there's a whole bunch of buffalo. People are going down to Yellowstone. People are going, but we have our herd here. And so the story that I wanted to begin with, and this is just to encourage you to reclaim your culture and encourage you to reclaim your identity is we come in this area. We have Absalaga Crow, we have Northern Cheyenne, we have Assiniboine White Clay people, we have Salish Kootenai, we have Chippewa Cree, we have Assiniboine Sioux over at Fort Peck, and then we have Little Shell, who just got back their recognition in Great Falls, so it's like a for Little Shell. But in this area, and then right over in the Dakotas, in the Lakota, Nakota, Dakota, they're Ine people. And then you go up into Canada, there's all this area. There's currently 75 tribes who have herds of buffalo and are growing. There was a treaty signed in 2015, just not far from here, between here and East Glacier. There was a camp set up, and a treaty was signed between, they invited everyone who had a herd of buffalo. And at that time, 26 tribes, including First Nations, came, and we signed a treaty to help each other grow our herds. And now we have, and I guess we're inviting you, Native Wellness Institute today. You know, we're inviting you. We have the teaching of the buffalo every May during Memorial Weekend, and we will be having that this May. So you're all welcome to come. And we invite all the 75 tribes so far, and there are probably more, but 75 tribes who have herds of buffalo. And then we have speakers, we have elders, we have teachings of the buffalo. Did you know there's 140 ways that you can use the buffalo? And so I wanted to just share that story with you. Hey, Anthony. Woohoo! Seeing Anthony. It's good to see some of the peeps, some of my sober brothers and sisters who are doing the culture. So the story I wanted to share with you, and again, you know, this is oral tradition, is around 160 years ago in the state of Montana, and it was some natives from the St. Ignatius area, which is over where the Salish Kootenai Reservation is. But there was an Indian man and an Indian group who they were afraid that the buffalo were going to disappear. Just like, you know, we're seeing the salmon go away, just like we're seeing some of the resources of food go away. But about 160 years ago, this group of people were afraid that the buffalo were going to disappear. So what they did, and this is just how ingenious our ancestors are, is they took some purebred buffalo and they brought it up into Canada, which is Alberta, and they brought it up to a place. It's maybe 4 hours north of here, Browning, Montana. I'm coming to you live from Browning, Montana, on the Blackfeet Reservation, and they put these buffalo on an island called Elk Island, and so they were put there, and it was like a secret. It was like an indigenous way of making sure the buffalo didn't disappear. And so as time went on, in just this short period of time, the buffalo, the Ine in our language, Tatanka, dwindled. And even at one point, it was in Montana, there's many, many stories of just a few head of buffalo that existed. And I'm telling you that story because also in 2015, we meaning the Blackfoot Confederacy, because Elk Island is within the territory in Alberta, we went up, and these were our societies went up. There, in our societies, there's often overseers, you know, of the Thunderpipe Bundle. There's often overseers of Longtime Pipe. There's often overseers of Beaver Bundle holders. There's often overseers that belong to societies. I know that the Ganaxtimata, the Brave Dog, Crazy Dog were involved, as well as many other societies. So a group went up in our Blackfeet Nation, our buffalo program. They went up and they prayed, they did ceremony, and they brought 87 of those off that island of these purebred buffalo. They brought 87 of them down, and they brought them and they put them what we call an AMS ranch, a winter ranch. They quarantined them, and they took those 87 buffalo from the purebred, and then they're slowly over time, as we're helping other tribes grow their herd, they were integrated into our herd on the Blackfeet Nation. And that sparked something. I don't know how to explain this to you. When the 75 tribes that have herds, and when those buffalo were returned, there's many. I know Aaliyah, Miss Blackfeet, there's movies and there's documentaries, there's all these Indians being in movies and documentaries and series. It's like, woohoo! It's our own people, like Res Dogs, woohoo! It's like the badass auntie got a small part in there. And, but I guess I'm more a tradish Indian, not a actress. So I'm just sharing with you about why we need to have mindfulness and why we need to know these stories. But those buffalo being integrated, there's like this boom of reproduction. There's so many of those 75 tribes, and in the area, there's the intertribal buffalo. Irvin Carlson, who lives here now and sits on that council. There's members from all of those 75 tribes. They're trying to look at how we can maintain and grow all of these herds. And why? Why is it important that we grow these herds? The same reason it's important that we have salmon. The same reason that it's important that we have elk. The same reason any of our traditional food sources that our ancestors sustained themselves. So I wanted to start with that story. The other story that I think is, and it teaches, today Native Wellness Institute is doing a training on being an ally in Indian country. I want to tell a story that I heard from Leroy Skunkcap, who he left us during COVID, during this pandemic. So I heard the story from Leroy Skunkcap, and it has to do with the large and crow guts. It has to do with the large intestine of the buffalo. And so the story that I heard from him, they call it crow gut, or was when the buffalo were disappearing. And in this area that we live, when the buffalo were disappearing, there was beginning of starvation. There wasn't a food source, and that was a government plan to starve us to death so that we would sign away. And it's an old plan. Oh, you guys know the plan. Okay, sign here. We don't know what we put, X because no one knows English. Sign here, and they take the land because dang. So Leroy said, but before that happened, there was a starving Apsalaga Crow family, and they came up on these two buffalo, and they had been chasing them and following them, hoping to kill them and to get food. And they came up in this area, and we're 1.5 million acres. Browning is just one little spot. But we're 1.5 million acres, and they came in this territory. And when they came, they didn't know that the buffalo had went over this large hill. So on the other side, just as that was happening, and they were getting close to killing these two buffalo, there was two Scapi Picani Blackfeet on the other side, and they were also starving. They were also need of food, and they saw the two buffalo, and once they seen it, they killed the two buffalo, and just as they had killed the two buffalo, the crows came over the hill, and they don't speak the same language. The language is different, so they talked in sign language. And back in those days, here you are. There was an integrity, there was a discipline between tribes where you communicated rather than fighting. Rather than fighting, you communicated. So in the sign language, the crows had explained that they had been chasing those two buffalo and that their families were starving. And then the Amskapi Pikani, the Blackfeet, heard their story. And then they said, okay, we believe you. This is the truth. This is, when you hear the truth, then you have to do what's fair. That's equity, all these new European terms is. So what they did is they split the meat. But while they were all hungry and they split the meat, the Apsalaga, the crows, went over and they took out the long gut. There's this real long intestine inside of the buffalo, the ini. And they went and, they clear it out. They clean it out. They clean it out, like in a running river. They didn't have a spigot. They didn't have plumbing. Anyway, so they took this long gut and they went and they took all of the back strap, which is the back. It's just tender. Making my mouth water. They took the back strap and they had chopped it up, and they had taken that back strap and they pushed it and they put it in the long gut. I have like a thing of sage here, so pretend this is a long gut. This is my mom's. I'm in my mom's bedroom because it's holy here. And anyway, so the long gut, they chopped up the back strap and they put it in there, and then they tied it off. They tied it off, and then they took it. This is, just Indians, they had it together. They were just badasses. They took it, and if there was a fire here, they slowly roasted it over the fire. They turned it, and they slowly roasted it over the fire. And you can backstrap, buffalo long gut. And then when they took it off, and the Blackfeets, they'll always look at you like, like watching you, and then they memorize, and if they like it, they'll repeat it. That's how Indians learn from each other. They'll look at you, they'll watch you, and then they'll repeat it if they like it. And that builds alliances about food. So, and then once they had that long gut, and man, it was just, again, I'm going to get off here and I'm going to eat some buffalo. So they sliced it. And then they gave their Blackfeet brothers and sisters some of that slice. And that's where the term crow gut came from. Let's see, Apsalaga, guts or saputsis. But that, when you hear that, it just means that something, they might refer to something very delicious, very, and we were all meat eaters. That was our main food. They call it the edible food. Buffalo and meat were real food, and all of the other food was called not real food. Isn't that funny? Real food and not real food. But that crow gut, that's a story. One of the stories I wanted to share with you. I guess because the buffalo spirit is within me, and the buffalo spirit is here. And I would like to share that with you because I hope this is to encourage you to eat more buffalo. And even if that was not in your tribe, it's you have to have the spirit of it. You have to believe in the spirit of the buffalo, the spirit of its strength, the spirit that it gives us. It like a buffalo never retreats. If the storm is coming, it goes right into the storm. And so I'm just going to share, our tribe has been very thoughtful how we bring our descendants in and we help them to belong. Our tribe has been very thoughtful about how they bring our enrolled members in, even if they live off the reservation, our enrolled members. And then our tribe has been very thoughtful about how they bring our young people in. And especially right now in this transition, especially with the challenges that we have. And so it was last fall, and here we have opening of hunting season, opens usually sometime September 15th, and then it goes and everybody begs that, sometimes it'll end beginning of December, but then if they beg, no, keep it open, and they'll say, okay, we extended hunting season. They might extend it to, middle of December, but this is what our families, one of the transformation in our area is that everybody, right at the beginning, before there was a vaccine, everybody went back to hunting. Everyone went back to harvesting meat. Everyone, it just here, and people shared up in Bab where we were, all of my nephews up there and all my relatives, as when we didn't have the vaccine and we couldn't go off res and we couldn't go out, people just started hunting and sharing more with each other. And so what happened this morning is there was a hunting season, there was a lottery. Our tribe, so they put it like in a hopper, they put it in a computer. They put everyone's name of all the enrolled members, and then they let it spin. So it's actually, it's like divine. It's not like, because you know how bad we are. We just give some of our resources to our relatives, to our old snags. No. If we want them back, if we don't want them, we don't give them nothing. We give it to our children. We kind of, the Europeans call it nepotism, eh? But, Indians, we are nepotism. We're all related. So it's kind of weird to, they say you can't do nepotism. We have to do nepotism because we're all related. Anyway, we ain't marrying our cousins, our first cousins, but so there was a lottery. And the three categories that they chose to pick, and I'm just sharing with you in a humble way, because this is not, please don't take this as boasting. This is a story of how our tribe is healing around the buffalo and how other tribes can heal around Eni and the buffalo. So they had a category for descendants. And that was powerful because we're at a place where we have to put our arms around our relatives. We have to embrace them, and they are us. And the descendants have a quarter blood or less, but it's almost like we have to erase that because those are our grandchildren. Those are our young relatives. And so they had a category for descendants, and they put all their names in the hopper. And that I think is a healing thing, because we can't let anyone else define who we are. We have to define ourselves who we are. I can see I've had a lot of good emotion. I'm very happy in my heart. And then there was the category of elder. And, and that's kind of interesting because everybody, everybody has a different definition. Our good friend, and she's our honorary board member at Native Wellness Institute. She's been saying for about 30 years that there's some elders and then there's just some old people. They're just old, decrepit. They're not. Anyway, I can't judge that. But our elders on this reservation, there's a fluctuation. They're saying 65 and older, because when you turn 65, you get a free elk tag too, which I'm very grateful because I can just get to eat elk all the time. Other reservations, you go and it's 55. So maybe, and you guys might know someone that's young, and they just the way their disposition is, the way that they carry themselves, the way that they have reverence, they might be an elder. But okay, so we had an elder category, and so I got to be part of that. So all the elders were put in a hopper, and then a name was picked out, and that name was my name. I'm still blown away. I mean, I'm literally just blown away. So I feel like it was a gift from Creator. A gift from Creator came, and was a blessing. And I guess I wanted to share that with you, because when it was picked, I immediately, this had never happened before. Number one, I don't think a woman identify, you guys know my pronouns, she, her, and badass. My pronouns, I don't think there's been a she, her that has ever won a lottery. On the Blackfeet Reservation here. It has always been males, which is fine, because we really honor, man, our men are badass hunters. Our men are our protectors. They're our nurturers. And so I won. And when I won, I started like breathing. It gives me like a overwhelming anxiousness of goodness I mean, like, who wins who wins a buffalo? People are always talking about, gambling and winning something over here and winning something over there. Now, all these lotteries, but to win a buffalo just became overwhelming. So we really asked for the flexibility of Fish and Wildlife. And the enrolled member went out right away, decided, yay, and went out and got their buffalo. And the descendant went out right away and yay, got a buffalo, and went and got it. But I just wanted to take some time, and I guess I'm sharing this because when you're healing, or when any of us are healing, we got to take baby steps. We got to take slow steps. Sometimes it's not, you just don't change from womanizer or manizer to respecting your partners. We just don't change like that. We don't change, I remember when I went to treatment twice in 1988, and I remember one of the gifts that one of my partners gave me, and it was a t-shirt. The t-shirt said, "Instant asshole, just add alcohol." Instant asshole, just add alcohol. And so you to transform from asshole to a better person, from asshole to a fair person, from asshole to an honest person, from asshole to a willing person, from asshole to someone who can let go, an asshole to someone who can be fair and listen to all sides and ask the group, what do you think is a transition? So, and I'm just saying, I'm nobody perfect. I make mistakes all the time, and I'm just sharing because I went and, asked like, Rose Fox, the head of the Moto Keeks of our nation. I asked Rose, I told her, Rose, I won this, I won a buffalo, but, can you please, say prayers for that buffalo's life? Can you please say prayers for our people to honor and have reverence? Just say prayers. And so I know the head of our Moto Keeps was praying. And then I would go out and I would ask other nations when I traveled. I see Laura's on here. Hey, Laura, you and your 4,000 buffalo. she harvested buffalo. But Laura, today I harvested. But I'm sharing the story is as an elder, as a woman, as a badass auntie, or other, as Nistu Mokoyo Sakoi. My second name means the Milky Way, or the Wolf's Trail, or the Medicine Trail. So I just started saying prayers. I put out offerings. I ate other pieces of buffalo, and I put out offerings that I could do it in a way that our ancestors did it. So, and the story goes, so then I thought, wow, if there's 140 uses of a buffalo, first of all, that's so overwhelming. Am I going to do all 440 things? That was okay. I'm going to 140 ways I'm going to use this buffalo. And then it was who shoots it and who can shoot fast, quick, and drop the buffalo and not let it suffer, because just a hunting rule. So so I asked my nephew, I asked a couple of nephews, and there was Human and Han, and yes, or they were going through too much transition. And so I asked Nathan Sankador, and then I asked him, would you consider your son, he's a senior in high school, that maybe this is his rite of passage? And so he considered it. And then I asked, because when I came home, and I needed healing. Not only, I was still sober, but I had a broken heart from a divorce and a broken marriage due to my partner returning to drinking. And that's the most incredible heartbreak that there ever is when you still love someone and you have to leave them because they return to drinking. And I just had this broken heart, and I felt like that I loved so much, and it just my heart was just shattered. And in that shattering, I had to put it back together. And so Edward, Little Dog, and Muffet were a couple of the elders, as well as Buster Yellowkidney and my mother, but Edward and Muffet, they put me out to fast because I'd had a dream, and they put me out to fast in December. And here sometimes they'll put like a shed over their sweat. They put me out to fast there, and I'm really glad they did. And anyway, and it's not about me, but one of their young grandsons, Lauren Monroe Jr., his mother Debbie, who we also lost right during this pandemic, right before this pandemic, is Lauren's mom. We used to pray together, and she had the most beautiful voice. She had the most beautiful spirit. And just like me and all of you out there, we all have that beautiful spirit. And the only thing that can take it away is drugs and alcohol and Republicans. No. It's bad behavior. That's the only thing that can take it away. So so I chose Lauren, and I asked him, and he's currently on our council, but I'll just tell you this. He will still be my nephew no matter what his job is. And so I take him, the relative, I did not want to manipulate any of that, asking him to help. And then, of course, the other person, and I guess the lesson is when you want to be sober, you never can do it alone. And I learned to ask for help in a cultural way. I don't think, cause like if I ask my sponsor, I don't even think she could make it over here. I don't even know if she can butcher a buffalo. I mean, maybe, well, and I'll just, anyway, I'm not going to name names, but I was just thinking, so I started asking for help. So one of the greatest things that Native Wellness Institute is asking you on this Wellness Wednesday and this Power Hours to ask for help. And so one of the askees, or I asked CNC Meats here. And if you ever come to our reservation, we have a woman named Christine Flamen and her whole family. Her father, she was taught by her father, and he's one of our renowned butchers, but I asked her for help. And we just kept it small. And then I came here yesterday, and I've been asking my family, and I slept here with my mom because we made a prayer, and I said, Mom, I don't know what this means, but to get this buffalo and to try to use as many uses, not the 140. I'm just going to share a couple of the uses because right now, when I was coming back, and these guys are all experts. They all know because they believe in a Stapatapio. And Chaz Racine believes in horse medicine. Chaz Racine has the utmost respect for elders. And the utmost, he said, just these buffalo, he said, the longer you're with them, the longer you hang around with them, the more they teach you. And so, we were looking for dates because, everyone's busy schedules and blah, blah, blah. So today was the day. And so I came here and stayed with my mom and listened to her stories. And then it was kind of, how when you're, I'll always be a child of my mother and a child of my father, is saying prayers. And then Mom was, I said, Mom, and Roger wants me to, get the bladder and, blow it up and tie it off. And see, I hadn't done that before. So I was texting my crazy dog brothers, and they were explaining. And then Mom, she's 84, and so she's not going to come out there and do any of this. But she was describing, she said, you're going to have warm water. And so we're way out on the prairie, So then, then I message Christine, and I say, Christine, can you bring some hot water and thermoses? And she goes, yes. But she did many things, but she brought hot water and thermoses. And then, Mom said, you'll need a bucket. You need a 5-gallon bucket. So we got a bucket. And so that was one of the uses, because Roger Prairie Chicken and Charlene Prairie Chicken Plume asked for this bladder. And that so that happened today, and so it's so funny because blackface, they're just so crazy. They're like, well, you gotta squeeze all the piss out of it. It's so, they're like, I don't want to squeeze it. So, but here's me and Christine squeezing all the piss out of the bladder, and there, we squeezed the piss out of the bladder, and then, it was our first time, and so we're gently squeezing the piss out, and then you got this like limp bladder, and then trying to find, so Mom said you got to wash all that off in the warm water. You got to take all the fat away. Like you got to take all the fat, you got to clean it, and then try to find the appropriate hole where you're gonna blow it up. And this is used sometimes for rattles, for containers, for other things from the buffalo. So me and Christine, we saw where the piss was coming out. So we're anyway. Long story short, is she tries to blow first, and she's like, and then I told her, I said, we didn't know we woke up this morning and be doing a blow job out on the prairie. A different kind of blow job. blowing up. So anyway, she said, "Man, I almost passed out." And so then I took it, and so we're both trying to, our first time blowing up a bladder of a buffalo, a blowjob on the Blackfeet Reservation. Just great. We're just crazy. So anyway, long story short is we figured out that the part that needed to be blown up, and this is why I love our men, is one of them said, "Well, we've been using it. They used to do it the old way," and Lord goes, "Well, the thing that airs up your tire, they have a name for it." So he went and got it, and we said, "Let's try it." So, because anyway, long story short, we blew it up, and it's hanging in my mom's little laundry room over here, and we tied it off. So, and Roger and his drum group coming from Kainai, they're called the Blackfoot Horse Thieves, are going to be coming down next week, heading to Kyo, because they all just want to kind of have fun and come and sing, and can you see that? I mean, if you think about it, it's kind of crazy. Here's these Blackfoot horse thieves is their name. Blackfeet horse thieves, all following each other in a convoy because they don't know how to get to Missoula. They don't come to United States. And so they're all going to be, Roger, so they're all these horse thieves are coming down in a convoy so that they could sing and dance at Kyo. And Kyo, you guys are all invited, is April 21st and April 22nd. And the beauty of Kyo, I think is the 63rd annual, is that the other traditional honorary chief, Earl Olperson, in his honor, because we also lost him last year, is that there's been an endowment given to the Kyo powwow. And so we were saying, yeah, those poor students having cupcake sales. You know how Indians, we making ribbon skirts and putting them on raffle. Anyway, they don't have to do that. So this is the first year that Kyo, so you're all invited, so you can come on over. Grand entry. You can Google Kyo, and anyway, the horse thieves will be coming down. So when he comes down, and he called me, he knew right away, because it took less than 2 hours for us to harvest that complete buffalo, to gut it, to get all the I'm going to go in there and eat some of the meat. The rest is going to, CNC is going to take care of it. And I got the buffalo head in the back of my truck right now. I'm going to take it to another place tomorrow. So I'm asking for your prayers. I'm just asking for your prayers right now that it's done in a good way. And then the other uses, the other 139 uses. I know one of the things, and this is just what my mom said to me, is she said, all those other buffalo, we gave them away in ceremony, and we gave away hamburger buffalo to you. Anyway, she said, I think you should keep this hide so that when I die, when this physical, I'll keep living, but when this physical body dies, you'll have something to wrap up in. And so I guess that's why I'm sharing some of the story, because I don't think I'm going to die today, but I feel like I've gone through a rite of passage, and I asked for help. So we had a little ceremony of prayers, and we had a ceremony of gift giving, because in the old days they'd give horses. I didn't have horses, but I symbolically gave to everyone that helped. But one of the gifts, I'll just say, is it's a book that was out of print, Percy Bullchild's When the Sun Came Down. And it's all of our stories that he heard from his grandma. And, and Percy was just this genius, but he only went to the 6th grade. So it was written, it's not edited. It's just how an Indian taught. looks. Badass Indian Percy Bullchild. So that was one of the gifts to the younger people, because I said, I read it over and over in the winter. And this is now you have this book. Just read it over and over, and then we can have some discussions about what are the lessons in those stories of Percy Bullchild. And so there was many, and I could just see in their eyes, like just gifting the book, that this was something they were going to treasure. And I also told them, I said, when I'm dead and you guys are still alive, you have to carry on with all of our next generations. So remember this day with the gentleness, with the compassion, with the love that this ini was harvested. And it's all of our stories, and it's not any individual story. And that's today. I wanted, on Wellness Wednesday with Native Wellness Institute, I wanted to just share that with you. And Laura, I'm going to send you a video. Thank you. Yeah, do that, Laura, because the intention with ours was to spread as much goodness from the life of this bull buffalo that was about 5 years old. And he had been in some tussles, because when they horn each other, you could see they try to get each other, like under here. You could see where that he'd been fighting. He'd been fighting, but he was also part of the herd. They have their rules. They don't have no written personnel policies, but they have buffalo rules of getting along. And so I wanted to just share that to you today as we wind down, and ask you and encourage you to uplift your stories in your First Nation, in your village, in your rancheria, in your tribe. And just like, we got a village, San Francisco, where there's a bunch of Indians. That's like an Indian res in the middle of San Francisco. Native Wellness Institute has acquired Barbie's Village in Portland. And we're also inviting you, because that's where we're going to start doing our training of trainers. You can go to our site. We got a couple coming up. Next month, we have adults working with youth that you can come and in person go through a training of trainers. And so with that, I'll just I'm feeling that the TM, I could feel like it got me grounded. Now I'm excited again about this buffalo. But my mom's in the other room, and we're gonna clean some of the manifold. We're gonna clean. We got the liver, we got the kidneys, and we got the blown up bladder, and then we got the other parts. And I'm just gonna go and between this time and my belly button birthday, which is April 20th, I'm just gonna enjoy buffalo and give buffalo and teach buffalo and think buffalo, because ini was our way of life. And ini has so much, to offer, even to today, the pastascan, the tobacco that was given out. There was like a calmness and a camaraderie, like a brother and a sisterhood. You could feel our ancestors being with us and loving each other. So with that, I just ask all of you just to love each other up. Well, I asked all of you just to be good to each other, just to smudge, not judge, and with that, I just as soon as the prayers were said yesterday, I got an invitation to go be the motivational speaker for the 8th grade Heart Butte students, to be their speaker for their promotion. And those kind of blessings come, and I feel rich, because these 8th graders want me to come and speak to them And so I'm saying prayers about that. That's May 9th at 5 o'clock at Heart Butte. The seniors graduate May 6th. And our Browning, we've got all these. Go out, hug the graduates, give them gifts, give them words of encouragement, envelope them with sacredness, with preciousness. And that will stop all that bad stuff from happening. I don't even want to think about those bad stuff. Native Wellness Institute, we want to nourish the growth. We want to nourish the love and nourish, the forgiveness. Forgive the unforgivable and start new. And that's why recovery is just one day at a time. And every person that you meet, you have an opportunity to love and you have an opportunity to forgive. So when you see someone, like they say Indians, when you're in the store on the res, some people walk by and they pretend they don't see you. Go walk up to them. Put out your hand and just say, "Okay, how you, Senadapi, how you doing? How's your family?" Have forgiveness. Start new. That's what springtime is about. And so that, with that, I'd just like to say Kitakito Matsuno, Native Wellness Institute appreciates all of you. Please share this. If there's any message in here, share this with other people who need an uplift. And I just want to share the story of Ini and transformation with mindfulness from Native Wellness Institute. Kitakito Matsuno. Love you very much.